Welcome to Excellence Culture. I'm Matt Brose with Locked In, and I am really excited about the guest that we have today. He's become a good friend of mine. He's become a household name actually all throughout the country. And if you know anything about Dude Perfect, you would be really excited about who we're talking to today. It's Garrett Hilbert. Garrett, thanks a lot for being here.
Thanks for having me. These people might know me as the Purple Hoser. So.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get into what the Purple Hoser name is all about. But, you know, for those of you who don't know who Dude Perfect is, for those of you who don't know who Garrett is, Dude Perfect, I would say, is a YouTube sensation that started back in 2009, right? 2009. It was a group of college buddies that filmed a video that
Aggies,
I want to hear.
Actually,
yeah, Aggies.
Well,
that's okay. It's okay. But yeah. So if you don't know who Dude Perfect is, you need to go check out who Dude Perfect is. They're everywhere to the point that they do a tour now.
Yes.
And so it's pretty exciting stuff. So you know, for me, I just want to kind of hear your story, man.
Yeah.
And that's what we do. We just kind of get into people's stories, and next thing you know, I think we'll find like a thread to go to that will be impactful and meaningful for these people. But you're cool with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I mean, I guess the origin starts back actually in high school. I left Prestonwood Christian Academy, went to Prosper High School to finish out, and I met a guy named Tyler Toney, who's also part of Dude Perfect, and he's a year younger than me. Ended up going to A&M and lived with his cousin. And so he would always come down and he would stay at our house, and he was visiting, and he's like, I don't really know where to go. He decided to come to A&M, and I just remember like he came in and was like, man, I got no one. I was like, just come on, I'll introduce you to my friends. And so took him up to the rec center, played pickup basketball with all the other DP guys, and that's kind of like where it all started.
That's where that community started.
Yeah, I mean, I met the other guys through a camp called Impact Camp.
Okay.
It's, you know, we learn all the Colts at A&M, but there's Fish Camp and Impact Camp. They're both great. One's centered around faith and one's not. And so
is Impact Camp the
Impact
one that's centered
is
around
the one
faith?
centered around. So I met Corey and Sean. There was actually 6 guys in Dude Perfect. Both of those guys were in my actual small group.
Okay.
And so we've been together since, you know, basically 06, you know, and then I've known Ty since high school. So, you know, it's kind of funny. I always call myself the original investor in Dude Perfect because me and Ty were the ones that bought the basketball goal, because all the other guys were like, I can't do it. I don't have enough money. And so it was a great return on investment, you know, $80 goal to this.
I want to get into that first video at some point.
Yeah.
But I do want to hear a little bit more about your upbringing.
Sure.
And you know, with the excellence culture, I'm trying to spend time with people who just exude this idea of excellence. It's nothing fancy and that kind of stuff. It's just people that wake up in the morning and want to do their best, right?
Yeah.
And so it's really nice to kind of hear the upbringing of that person to see if there's any kind of common thread there. So
yeah,
love to hear about your upbringing.
I was born in Dallas. Yeah. When I was 5, I actually moved to Northern California. My dad's job took us out there, and was heavy into sports. I have a younger brother. I have an older brother. I'm a middle child, so you know, redheaded middle child. You know, with the anger issues, that was me.
Were you the only redheaded one, or?
So my mom, yeah. As far as the siblings go, yes, my mom was redheaded.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, actually, my dad's job and his family kind of brought us back to Texas when I was around 11, and we started attending a church called Prestonwood Baptist Church.
Is that the Baptidome?
That's the Baptidome. Yeah. You know, a lot of good memories. We were next door neighbors to the executive pastor, Mike Buster, and he was my second dad growing up. And, you know, my whole life has been centered around faith. You know, I think it's always been important to me. You know, I accepted Christ when I was in 6th grade at Vacation Bible School, and I remember it vividly. You know, Neil Jeffries said the sermon, and I just, it just changed me. And So my whole life has kind of been focused around, faith and church activities and hanging around the right people. And
Love it.
It wasn't a conscious decision for me. Like, it wasn't like I need, this guy's bad, I need to hang around this guy. It was more like just the lifestyle that, my family lived kind of like put us in groups of people that were good. And I think that's part of the thing we always tell younger kids is like, the one thing we would always say is, you need to be around, people that are going to make you better.
Yeah.
And people that bring you down are the people that, always want something from you or trying to do something. And so God just blessed us with like putting 5 guys in college that, we actually all needed each other. We didn't know that at the time, but, we all bring something different to the group that, we benefit each other and just go off each other really well.
Was that move when you were 11 a tough move? Do you remember that at all? Or
I was excited about the move. Though I was locked in on soccer. In California, the soccer culture is really big. Well, when you move to Texas, it's football culture.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of a tough transition to that, giving up soccer, going into football. So I kind of dropped both of them and went heavy basketball.
Okay.
Learned a lot through AAU and coaches and leadership, and I always thought I was going to be a basketball coach one day. I mean, that's what I was.
Might still happen.
Could. I actually thought about that the other day. But then later on in high school, I got really involved. I'm like this weird mix of like, I'm like the biggest sports fan, but I'm also the craziest art nerd you've ever met. There's not a lot of people that I've met that are like me that like both with the same amount of passion, and I fell in love with architecture.
Okay.
Went to school for it. Thought that was what God was calling me to do. Got my master's degree in architecture and had a good job, and was ready to like work my way up the ladder.
Where was that job?
So it was just up
here?
the road,
Okay.
in Dallas. At a firm called PBK, and man, I was like, I just love everything about architecture, and I still do to this day.
It's probably why you love golf so much too. You got sports and architecture.
Yeah, and I love
One
golf
thing.
architecture.
Yeah.
I mean, I like nerd out about it, read books about it. So, and so went to A&M, then went to UTA up in Arlington. It was kind of hard going to University of Texas Association, but I did.
Hook 'em.
Yeah, and then got married right after that, and I attribute a lot of my success to my wife. I mean, I've been very open and honest about that in all my interviews. Like, she's the rock of our family, and without her, like, I'm not here. Yeah. So it's she keeps us grounded. She's a great mom to our 3 kiddos, and so I got 3 kids, 8, 6, and 5, and we homeschool. And so she's like a teacher and a mom, and
she's impressive, man.
Yeah, she really is. So and she's a golfer now, so even better. That's kind of the upbringing of how I got to this chair right here.
So did you think from a career standpoint that you were going to be an architect?
Yeah, I mean, I was doing it. I was the thing that happened. The reason I'm not in an architecture firm right now is we were at a Final Four, and Tyler gets a phone call from his boss, and he worked in landscaping. He was also kind of landscape designer, landscape construction.
Tyler
was, yeah. And he gets a call from his boss, and it was a Saturday, and he just got chewed out and was like, "You cannot miss another Saturday or you're fired." And the thing is about Dude Perfect is we all had jobs. So Monday through Friday we did our jobs. Well, we would always tell the brands, "Hey, we're so busy with like Dude Perfect, we're blowing up so much, like we actually only have time for you on the weekends."
Wow.
Which wasn't the case.
Yeah.
So
let's go to that first video really quick.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to have to backtrack us too much. But so you're in the season of career mode, pursuing a career,
trying to graduate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who initiated this video, and what was the purpose of that first video?
So I don't really remember. that house was a competitive. We competed about anything. Like we would make up games.
And that house is in town here?
No, in College Station.
Oh, okay.
So they all lived together.
Okay.
So the other 4 guys lived together. I did not live with them. I lived with Ty's cousin down the road, but I was there every day. But they were just too. I'm a perfectionist and clean freak, OCD, and so it was just too messy for me. I couldn't do it. So, but I was there, and we just competed about. I mean, you name it. Like if it's video games or if it's like making up a football game of like tackle football, whatever it is, we're competing, and there was always like something on the line. So it's like, if you lose, you got to buy, me a sandwich or whatever. So I remember me and Ty bought the basketball goal, and it was a grass backyard, so it's not like we could play actual basketball. So we were like, we didn't like say like, let's go make a trick shot video. It was more like, hey, we're playing almost playing horse, but have some money on the line. We were playing for like Jimmy John's sandwich, and I remember him saying like, it was like right at lunchtime. He's like, hey man, if I make this shot, you're buying me lunch. And I was like, sure, dude. And it was like this hook shot. We actually just went back to the house. I mean, at the time, it felt like the most like impressive thing like Ty's ever done. You're like, no way he's gonna make this, and he did. But going back to the house, it was like 20 feet away from the goal, like just like a standard shot. But anyways, ended up buying him lunch, and when we got back, Corey was taking a video editing class at the time at A&M. So he's like, dude, I'm just gonna film some of this stuff, and I want to edit it, because he has a passion for it. So we ended up just like doing, almost like playing horse, but filming it, see who can make it. And then Corey edited it and put it online. And literally the day after we put it online, Good Morning America woke us up.
Wow. So that's 2009.
Yep.
And is YouTube a new? I'm trying to remember when
YouTube was
came out.
06 or 05.
Okay.
It was fairly new. It was. I mean, again, at that time on YouTube, it was like mostly cat videos and Charlie bit my finger and just like
it was home
videos.
Videos.
It was home videos, almost like moments of like. Now there's so many of those that those get dumbed down a lot of just like your kid does something like hilarious or dumb or whatever it is, and like you record it and show your buddies, but you've seen that 1,000 times because everyone has a device now. But back then, iPhone just got released in like 07, I believe.
Yeah.
The camera was awful. Like there was like the digital camera world even back then was just it was brutal. Like so no one like even had a thought to film anything.
Yeah.
So it was a little. Everyone always asked me like, "What's it take to get in?" My kid wants to be a YouTuber, and I'm like, I mean, back then and now, it's like the NBA versus back then and now. It's just a different game. Like I don't. It's it's crazy.
So Good Morning America calls, and was that a surprise to you guys?
Oh,
or
yeah,
were you seeing like the activity happen on the video, and you're like, wow,
So
this
yeah,
is becoming bigger.
I think it got to like 100,000 views,
Okay, which
I
was
mean,
a lot back then.
Oh, I mean, yeah. Like, I mean, we were shocked. We mostly were just doing it to like show our, mom and dad of like, hey, look, we're not studying, But Diane Sawyer actually woke us up. I think it was like 7 a.m. And again, like college kids, I mean, that's like middle of the night, So we're just like, number one, how'd you get our number? Number two, like, this is crazy. But yeah, like went on Good Morning America and, back then it was all like, I don't know, yahoo.com was like kind of like the place for like viral videos. Like there was 3 videos on the top of Yahoo, only 3. And those 3 videos would get, I mean, millions of views.
Okay.
And I remember our video got on, we were on a plane, I think, and we got on and we got off the plane and it had multiple millions of views. Just like that.
So is that first video still on YouTube in its raw form? Or
Yeah,
really?
It is. We kind of thought about doing something for like 15 years this next year, and like
it's crazy.
We actually kind of went down. We're filming a 30 for 30 right now for ESPN, and we went down to the house and we recreated like half the video in 30 minutes. But it's still there.
That's cool.
I still had hair back in the day, so
yeah,
it was nice.
So where'd the name Dude Perfect come from?
Yeah, so we originally named it like Backyard Stuntman or something, like some great.
Yeah.
But like Sean, the guy who's not in Dude Perfect anymore, he put the camera on a ledge, and he sat down just like this, and they made sure they were in frame, and he goes, "Dude Perfect." And so we were watching the footage back, and we're like, "That's a great name. We should just name it that, not Amazing Backyard Stuntman 4 or whatever it was." So we just named it Dude Perfect.
Yeah.
That's
and now you see DP everywhere.
That's the origin of the story.
Yeah.
It wasn't like this well thought out, like, marketing geniuses of like, man, we should name it like Dude Perfect for blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that.
Okay, so I'm sitting here with who's also referred to as the Purple Hoser. If anybody kind of follows Dude Perfect, and a lot of kids refer to you as the Purple Hoser. Yep. In every video, you wear purple.
Yes.
That's not A&M's colors.
No.
So where did purple come from?
Yeah, so I've always liked the color purple. I would say it's probably my favorite color. Okay. I think it's just the skin.
I would hope it's your favorite color.
I think it's just the skin complexion. It goes well with me. Red's like terrible. Yellow's not great. Blue's a little, blue's a little harsh. So I was just like, I always tended to go to purple for some reason, and.
Well, I tried to wear purple a little bit.
Yeah, I love it. Today. Yeah, I didn't even mean to do this, but I mean, most of my stuff has some purple in it. But we had one of our first battle videos was a racing video. And if anybody follows Dude Perfect, they know kind of like my MO is very much like, no cares.
Yeah.
Just there to have fun and, get third place. That's kind of like, so they go down the line and like they're like, hey, you need to come up with a racing name, and everyone was like, I think Ty's was like Blue Adrenaline but I just literally like looked down. I was wearing purple, and then I thought I was gonna lose that day because I was like, man, I don't know how these guys are driving. And so hoser term is actually a Canadian term for if you lost in hockey, you'd have to hose the ice off. So they would call you hosers, and so it's actually like a not a great it's like the purple loser, but
it kind of fits the persona.
Yeah, it fits the persona,
like.
And so it kind of just stuck for some reason. None of the other guys' names stuck, but everyone just kind of like kept that name for me, and like they kept calling me like the Purple Hoser, and I was like, whatever, I'll go with it. And here we are, like 10 years later.
Yeah.
Like so.
No, it stuck. Yeah.
Yeah.
So. It stuck. Okay, so we've obviously the first video, huge milestone. Mm-hmm. What would you say would be in your mind the next big milestone of Dude Perfect?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the next big milestone was our first brand deal, which was also in college. We got called up by GMC, and they're like, we're going to do a NBA Finals commercial. We want you to do some trick shots. And we're like, okay. And at the time, we didn't know anything about, what people pay for commercials, whatever. But they were like, okay, we'll pay you $60,000 to do it. And we're like,
yeah.
I mean, that's like $8,000 a person. Yeah. Like, we're in, dude.
I caddied on the PGA Tour when I was in college, and the guy that I caddied for won, David Gossett, and that was a $60,000 payday for me, and it was a big, big deal.
Yeah, and it was just like, yeah, we'll do this. It actually ended up being like, that's when Ty did the airplane shot. Okay. Was that commercial. And it ended up doing like over 2 billion impressions. And we look back on it and we're like, man, they just are probably sitting in their offices just like, we paid $60,000 for this,
Yeah. At that time, they're probably
but that
paying
was
like Christina Aguilera.
That also put us on the map, though. Like, I mean, we were on an NBA Finals commercial, TV commercial. Put our name kind of out there, and so I'd say that would probably be the next big milestone.
Yeah, and that was
perfect. That was still.
Remember
that was
what
still.
year?
That was. I think that was. That might have been 2010, and the right around right before we graduated.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's follow some milestones for a little bit. Like, what would you say?
The one after that?
Yeah.
Yeah, the one after that, I would say, would probably be the Kyle Field shot.
Okay.
Kyle Field actually might have come before it. I can't remember, but that was another big milestone because it kind of put the synonymous wow connected with Dude Perfect. It was like the wow moment.
And that was with Johnny Manziel, wasn't it?
So the first one was not. The first
okay.
one was just Ty off the deck. The second one we did was
Okay.
with Johnny Manziel.
Okay.
I would say the next big milestone after that was the day that Ty told us, like, I'm going to have to quit. What do you guys think about all quitting your jobs and doing this? And I remember...
He said he was going to have to quit the landscaping
Yeah,
deal,
he was going to have to quit
okay.
because, you know, his boss
keep this
said...
going.
Yeah, he was like, my boss said he's going to fire me. Like, I might as well quit. Might as well give this a go. And that was in April. Because it was at the Final Four. And I remember... I'm kind of like the finance... I don't know why. I know nothing about finance, but you know they deemed me as the finance guy, Dude Perfect. So we've hired it out now, but and so I remember looking back in the bank, and I think it was like we each would make like, I don't know, 12 more grand the rest of the year. And so I remember going to my wife and saying, "Hey, you know," she was working, she had a great job, and I was like, "Hey, look, with your job."
Doing?
She was just an executive admin at a law firm, but
okay.
Great job, and they took care of her. And I remember going to her and being like, "Hey, I think I can make 12 grand the last 8 months of the year," which is just hilarious.
But you can get back then. You could have gotten by on that.
Well, yeah, and she was making like 50,
Yeah.
so that's 62 grand for single kid. For just like no kids. Like it was just like we're pretty rich right now. You know, and so I had to go like tell her stepdad. I was like, hey, I think I'm gonna quit. And just be a YouTuber. And I remember even telling my boss at work, I was like, hey, I'm gonna do this till December, but I'll probably be back in January. Just FYI.
Yeah.
And he was totally cool with it. He's like, man, you need to chase your dreams, but we'll see you back in January. And I'm telling you, the week after we quit our jobs, I mean, it exploded. I mean, we got our first huge deal from Nerf. That's when we did our Johnny Hecker video with the St. Louis Rams. We did another, I think, like Bass Pro. We signed our biggest deal ever. We signed a $2 million deal with a company called the Whistle Sports. I mean, it absolutely, it was like God was like, I've been waiting for you to do this, and
just take that leap of faith.
there you go.
Yeah.
And it just was like, I mean, skyrocket.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. Any more milestones? I want to kind of talk about the tour, but I feel like there's got to be some pretty significant milestones in between then.
After that, I mean, it was more like the progression of Dude Perfect. We were 5 guys with a business manager, Ty's dad, and that was it. Like that was our company. Like we did everything. So we were the talent and the company. Then we hired like our first editors to kind of like get a little bit of work off, and that was huge because it was the first time other people are like editing videos about us that we trust. We got to trust them. So that was a big milestone to kind of like go into this world of like, having an actual company. And then when we all started having kids, was another, it was just a milestone personally, but also just for the fact of like, we got to navigate travel now with kids and, always prioritizing family and being back for events and stuff like that. But man, I feel like there's a whole world from 2009 to 2020, 2019 I could talk about. Yeah. But what's happened since 2019 till now is, you wouldn't believe it.
Yeah. You've got everything that you're doing on the channel, but then the tour, I mean, just was the rocket. Yeah. Right?
Our business manager at the time, Ty's dad, and Corey had they always had this vision of a live tour. And I was like, I never could see it. I was like, I just don't, I mean, we don't make it on the first try. Like, I know people know that, but maybe some people don't know that. But we don't make it on the first try. Some we do, but. Yeah. So I was like, I don't, what are we going to do on tour? And they came up with a really compelling, energetic, like, tour. And we went on our first one. And I remember after our first show was in San Diego.
This was 2019?
This was 2019.
Okay.
Our first show was in San Diego, and we did our pre-show VIP that day. That day, we still didn't have the show ironed out. It was pretty stressful. And a guy walked up and pre-show VIP named Jeremy Camp, and he's a Christian musician who has a insane story.
Yeah, he does.
And man, I don't know what happened in that. Like, I just felt like a calming, like, sense of like, okay, like God's obviously has this, and like we're gonna be okay. And dude, after that show was like, it was like, wow, that was like incredible.
Yeah.
Like we really, it was a lot, and we obviously have improved on it a lot, but it was a leap of faith in its own sense of like, everything we do is behind a camera, closed doors kind of thing, and to like put it out in the public it was a vulnerable thing, but it was like, it was cool to like, we always talk about, we don't really get to see the impact that Dude Perfect has.
Yeah.
We hear about it, and it's very humbling. And we love it, but we never get to really see it. Mm-hmm. But on tour we get to see it, and it's such a grounding experience. Just knowing like, man, a lot of these kids look up to us. Like we carry a burden, but it's a good one. Mm-hmm. It's a good one to share positivity and love in the world, where like our world is so just kind of messed up right now. And
well, so letting your kids on YouTube is a scary thing, right? And and I don't know how the algorithms are, and I probably don't necessarily care to, but
well, none of us know how the algorithm.
Right?
I don't even know. So I wish I did.
But my kids have enjoyed watching you guys. There's maybe a couple other things that we kind of keep track of it, and to be honest, I mean, them following you guys, I feel like has allowed YouTube to somewhat be safe, because they don't get a whole lot of other, I guess maybe that's the way the algorithm works, but I mean, I guess I'm saying that, but I'm also saying kind of thank you, right?
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. It's, like we were talking earlier, like everyone has a device that they film and can throw up on YouTube, and there's not really like a screening process per se, and so there's a lot of junk out on YouTube, and there are some other. I mean, we're not the only good, wholesome, clean content on YouTube. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff out there. But I mean, I was just watching YouTube the other day, and my kids are big Dude Perfect fans, so and there was like this like horror movie ad right before a video, and it's just like
an ad.
It's an ad. You can't control them. We try to, but at the end of the day, like that content will get out there, and it's tough. But like, we. Why don't you sign up for the no ad version of YouTube? Yeah, you would think I would get it for free, but I don't. Yeah. So. No, we actually have some big things in the works right now. We're actually launching our own app in about a month.
Wow.
So when you log on to like Roku or Apple TV, there'll be a Dude Perfect app there, and it's all safe ads and our content and some other content that we're going to put on, and
that's great, man.
Yeah, it's a big step for us, so we're pretty excited.
Well, I'm kind of surprised that it's taken this long too.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I'm very grateful for YouTube. Always, they helped us get to where we are. I mean, I'll never say a lot of bad things about YouTube. There's some things that I don't necessarily like, but that's how I don't. There's a lot of people in the world, so just because one person doesn't like it. But no, they've been great to us, and we're still going to put our content on YouTube. It's just. It is a safer option on the app, so because we can control it. Yeah. So.
Cool. Okay, so excellence culture. We're talking about just the idea of excellence, right?
Yes.
And for the more I get to know you, I feel like you're someone who's drawn to things that are excellent. Mm-hmm. Whether that's an experience, whether that's food. I've just and who's not. At the same time, right? Mm-hmm. So how would you, just in your world, if you're thinking about people who are pursuing excellence, how would you kind of define that? I know it's kind of a loaded question, but
yeah, I mean, I think, I feel like I gotta, give credit to the other 4 guys and Dude Perfect when it comes to, excellent culture that they have kind of helped shape at Dude Perfect. There's a couple things that, and that's what I was saying earlier, like, we are all so different. And we all bring such different perspectives to Dude Perfect, but they're not a difference that doesn't gel. It gels because there are some differences that don't kind of go together and it doesn't work. But, again, like, I can attribute that all to Christ because, he breaks down those barriers. But, those guys have really done a good job of just, like, even the minute things of, look, we're not, the music in our videos has to be wholesome to, what we put out. I will put our videos up against literally anybody's in the world.
Yeah. The production
as far
of
as
it
production.
is,
And I think we got the best team. We've built our whole company on, the small things. It's all about the small things, and that will make the big things excellent. And it's not just me who does it. It's our whole team. We have 22 guys now, and every single one of them has the same goal of that. And so it's really been cool to see because sometimes you want to take the easy way out, and sometimes you want to be like, hey, the excellent way might be harder. You're just going through mud, and it's dirty sometimes, and it's stressful. But at the end of the day, the product's going to be better. And the easy way is, hey, you can do this 30-minute video and get it out and just put it up, and people are still going to like it. But it's like we always choose the hard way.
Yeah. So how long does it take for you guys to fully produce a video and get it out?
Yeah,
probably depends on the video.
Yeah, it depends on the video. But like we'll just take Stereotypes, for instance. It takes us about a week to film it, and then it gives our editors about 2 weeks to edit it.
Yeah. So if any of you haven't ever watched one of their Stereotype videos, they are hilarious. Yeah. And what's an example of a Stereotype video?
So like right now we're actually filming neighborhood stereotypes. Okay. So
what would be an example of?
So like the perfect lawn guy, or the creepy neighbors one we did. It's always like peeking over the fence, or there's a bajillion of them.
Yeah,
but,
those are hilarious videos, and I think
they're
my favorite too.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun to film because, yes, we are in a sense making fun of people, but we're all those people. So it's just kind of you're kind of making fun of yourself and poking fun of like, man, I can't believe I actually do that, but I do.
Yeah.
It's been fun. But yeah, like those videos, I get so frustrated sometimes because we do like 18 takes of one like stereotype, and I'm like, dude, we got it. And the editors just know like, no, we don't have it yet. And it's just like kind of a grind, but they're, I want to take credit for like the excellent culture that like I've kind of tend to, be incorporated with, but it's a team effort, and that kind of goes to my life a little bit and bleeds over. Sometimes a little too much. I expect a little too much excellence from my kids sometimes, and I kind of have to be like, hey, he's 8 years old, and he needs to have some grace. But
so there's a little bit of that OCD part.
Absolutely, yeah. A little bit of OCD kind of kicks in sometimes. Perfectionism, kind of kicks in, and but you just kind of have to remind yourself, like, I wasn't like that when I was 8. So but yeah, man, our team culture is fantastic.
So that's a perfect segue into talking about just your role as a leader, right? Because it started out 5 guys just having a blast doing videos, and now all of a sudden you become the leader of an organization. But still highly involved in content, getting content out. But I would assume that you're being looked at as a leader too. And so, I'd be interested just in that idea of, balancing that. How are you guys doing in terms of balancing leading an organization, but also still being the personalities of the brand?
Honestly, what you just said is like, it's probably our biggest struggle. Because we're talent. we're the bosses, and we're also have young families, and we've kind of worked our way to a point where like, we could take time off.
Yeah.
And so it's we take it pretty seriously. So like I said, we have 17 guys. There's 5 of us and 17 employees. And these guys are starting. Most of the guys are either coming out of college or fairly young. These guys are starting their career. It's not like they're on the latter half of it and they're like, this is it and who cares what happens. So we do take that burden pretty seriously of just knowing like, hey, we're here to, we would love to know your goals. We want to help achieve those goals. We want to give you a runway at Dude Perfect to like maybe try to like some of those goals can be fulfilled. But if they're not, we want to help you like, go get that next gig. And that's hard sometimes because we don't want to lose those people, and we know there's such, it'd be detrimental loss to our team, but, we do a good job of knowing like, hey, look, like if there's a better job out there with more leadership and whatever, like we encourage you to go take that. And so, we are the leaders of the company. Like this week alone, like, Ty and Kobe are at Augusta. Corey's in New York, Cody's in Montana, so it's really just me at the office this week. So if we're not filming, I have some obligations to take care of, but it's really just me going in and popping into the team and just making sure like everything's good. Still giving them. I think we have the most fun office in the world. We got full-size basketball court, pickleball court, weight room,
and you let that be a part of their job, right?
Absolutely.
Just enjoy
sometimes, and they would even say this, we kind of joke around about it because, at 3 p.m. they're out there playing, game of basketball, and you're like, what are you doing? Like, why are you? But, they work extra hard, and they've never missed a deadline, and they're solid employees, man. Like, we really have built, like, I don't really know how we did it, to be honest with you. Like, we just kind of hired, like, what I've thought has kind of just been, like, random people.
Yeah.
But they really have, like, all, like, just meshed so well together that, but, dude, we are in need of like a president.
Yeah.
To kind of just manage the day-to-day better.
Yeah.
We do a decent job of it, but we could be better.
Yeah.
Especially for those guys, giving them more structure.
Yeah.
Because our job is the most unstructured.
Well, so far, I mean, because you've been doing this since 2009, and so, I'm an employee benefits consultant, and the way that I look at my role is cost, service, and people. So.
Yeah.
But on the people side of things, I really like to tell employers, like, don't underestimate the role that you have in the lives of your employees, because they're probably spending more time with you than they're spending with their families.
Absolutely.
And so, it's a really important role to really think about. And so until now, I mean, how have you 5 guys, because 5 equal leaders is a complicated thing to work under.
Yep.
Like basically everybody's got 5 bosses. How do you
all
guys,
with differing opinions?
Yeah. So how do you guys, you 5 guys, kind of steward that?
Yeah. So we kind of have our own areas of the company. So like Corey is production. He's over production. He's he was our video editor. He understands the space. Like he knows what level of excellence he wants. So he's there. Cody is over like the social channel. So he was our social media. Now we've hired that out, but he's kind of over those guys. Okay. Ty is head of creative, so he is over the art team. He helps come up with video ideas, flush out video ideas, stuff like that. I'm over all the boring stuff,
business stuff,
businessy stuff of financials and merchandise and stuff like that. And Kobe is really, Kobe for the longest time was kind of our liaison between our manager and us. Like, if he needed to, if our manager needed to get in front of us, Kobe would So Kobe's kind of a nomad.
He's kind of the Swiss Army knife right now.
Yeah, he's kind of the Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
So to your point of how do people operate and know how to operate? We have departments, and so But yeah, if like Corey's not there this week and there's like a problem, then it would be me. And I might give different advice than what Corey would have given. But, you know, there has been some sticky points there, you know, when it comes like, you know, we'll have to get together. We do a owner's box. We call it owner's box every Monday morning, first off, 9 a.m. Kind of checking on each other, make sure everything's good.
So that's between all
just
five
us
of you.
five
Okay.
owners. Yeah, make sure if there's any grievances or like things that, you know, we need to air out before we go to our staff meeting, like let's take care
Is
of
that
it.
usually in person or over the phone?
It's in person.
Okay.
Then we do a staff meeting Monday mornings, kind of get ready for the week, and then we go from there. But I mean, yeah, to your point, like having 5 bosses has been extremely challenging, and that's why we've always thought if we have that president, you know, that everyone reports to, and then the president reports to us.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's a little bit better flow because, you know, it's I could say something completely different than Cody, and the guys are like, wait, but Cody just told me to do it this way, and so it's
so
tough.
It's a challenge.
It is a challenge.
Is that one of your biggest challenges?
I would say
say?
I would say that might be the biggest challenge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That we face.
Okay.
But it's never in my wildest dreams would I think at the age of 36 was I, you know, leading, you know, 17 people and paying for their benefits and their salaries, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we also offer, I mean, obviously like the culture itself, like, you know, the food.
It's an exciting thing to be a part of.
Yeah, and then you know, the guys do a Bible study together.
That's great.
That we have one of our buddies comes and leads. So it's you know, we try to offer as many things as we can offer.
Yeah.
To, you know, make it the best culture.
Yeah. So, you know, kind of get me into the future a little bit of Dude Perfect. You've mentioned a few things from, you know, the app and that kind of stuff. But what would you say is kind of coming up in the future? And then I would also, you know, ask, you know, thinking 5-10 years down the road, what's on your mind?
Yeah. Future Dude Perfect is, I think, pretty exciting. Obviously, we're going to still be making content. We love doing it. It's just fun for us. But we have, obviously, the Dude Perfect world that we call, that we're still working with cities to hopefully bring to a city near you, you know?
Yeah.
We have a Dude Perfect traveling experience in the works. So basically think of it as like a carnival, you know, that travels around and you go. But like imagine it being like athletic based that you can take your family to and go compete. And they would go to city.
That's cool.
We really want to get into like a kids book series like Hardy Boys fiction. Just feel like that animated show. A lot of cool things. I mean, maybe even being our own production company in a bigger scale. So, as far as the 5 to 10 year thing goes, I would hope that my, you know, on screen, like number of times I have to be on screen would decrease a little bit, and that we would have other shows.
Yeah. Well, I would affirm. I mean, you're a very busy person.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, if we're looking to get together or something like that, there's a really good chance that you're not available because you're doing some kind of obligation.
Yeah. So as far as do we try to replace us 5? You know, I don't know. I think it's more of like we would rather have content brought under us that maybe isn't do like trick shots, but it's a funny group that does things. I mean, there's a lot of talented people out there.
Yeah.
Like everyone always asks, like, you know, they always call us like the king of trick shots, and I'm just like, we're not the kings of trick shots. There's like these kids called That's Amazing out there that are absolutely insane, and they should be the kings of trick shots.
You're kind of pioneers, though.
We're pioneers. That's fine, but I'm not. You know, but like, so there's a bunch of different avenues that we could go with Dude Perfect, and so we're kind of just trusting in God that He would kind of show us that, because right now we kind of have an idea, but it might be completely different.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Any kind of closing comments for you? I would love to just hear, you know, what kind of legacy I think you guys are as a group would like to say that you've left, you know?
Yeah, I'd say as far as the legacy play, we actually we've gone through some really a bunch of trials with Dude Perfect. I mean, early stages on to moving on from Ty's dad as our manager, which was, you know, extremely challenging. And just navigating all that, we kind of came to we never had a mission statement.
Yeah.
And so our mission statement is we want to be the most trusted entertainment worldwide. And I think we've accomplished that.
Yeah.
I think trust is very synonymous with Dude Perfect. Like, we're very, you know, I wouldn't even go on a podcast if I didn't know the other stuff that was on that podcast. You know, it's like it's to that level of, because people, when they hear Dude Perfect, they think, oh, hey, my kid can listen to this.
Yeah.
And so we take that very seriously. But man, I'd be remiss not to say if our legacy wasn't to say that, you know, to spread Jesus' name throughout the world.
Amen.
Then we missed it.
Yeah.
So,
That's good stuff.
you know, I would want that to be our legacy. I don't know if we've done a good job of that, but I think, like, you know, in 10 years, 15 years, when people hear Dude Perfect, I hope they said, I came to Jesus from them. So,
that's cool.
Yeah.
That's great, man. Well, I think I'm going to get to see my first tour this year.
Yeah.
I'm excited about
I would love
that.
for you to come, man.
Yeah.
It's a fun time. It's
Yeah.
That's the last show too, so.
Yeah.
Or well, maybe. I mean, you can come to anyone, but
Okay.
Fort Worth is last, so.
Yeah. Yeah. Love it, man. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And welcome to the excellence culture, man.
Yeah.
Thanks
for having me, man.
Yeah.
It was a blast.
Yeah.